Section 4 of a Rubaiyat Miscellany. Omar Khayyám. The Rubaiyat, newly paraphrased by Ruel William Whitney, with slight foreword by C.C.M. Jr. 1903, privately printed. The Imperial Press, Cleveland. Foreword. Omar Khayyám, the astronomer-poet of Persia, was born at Naishapur, province of Khorasan, in the first quarter of our 12th century, and died there in the year of the Hegira 517, AD 1123. His poetical name Khayyám signifies tent-maker, a trade which his father is said to have followed before him. There is little data for a biography of Omar, and even this is linked with the names of two other Persians of note in their day, the more distinguished of whom subsequently became vizier to Up-Ashlan, progenitor of that dynasty whose cruelties to Christians aroused the just indignations of Peter the Hermit, the first Crusader. The poet's master was Imam Mowaffaq, one of the greatest of Persian scholars, a man highly honoured and revered. Although best known to the Western world as the author of the Rubaiyat, the Persian for quatrains, he wrote a number of books as well as many poems in Persian and Arabic. Upon being made Astronomer Royal, he, with 7 others, revised the calendar, and this revision has been preferred to that of Pope Gregory XIII. A list of his literary labours includes 3 works on natural science, 2 on metaphysics, and 4 on mathematics. Only 3 of these have escaped the ravages so common to early Oriental literature: demonstrations of the problems of algebra, some difficulties of Euclid's definitions, and Sidji Melik Shahi, astronomical tables of which he was the editor. The Rubaiyat was written at various times, and afterwards strung together according to alphabetical order. Numerically, from 100 to 1000 of these stanzas, some genuine, others spurious, have lived through 9 centuries, and may be read in many paraphrases and translations in English, Italian, French, German, and Latin. A study of the manuscript in various libraries discloses numerous variations in the number of quatrains. The Bodleian manuscript of the Ousley collection contains 158 quatrains. The Calcutta Asiatic Society's manuscript 516. The India Office manuscripts 512 and 362. The Calcutta edition of 1252 AH 438 with an appendix of 54 additional. The Paris edition of M. Nicolas 464. The Lucknow lithographed 763, while a fragment edition begun by the late Mr. Blackman contains but 62. Omar chose many peculiar prosodical forms for the expression of his poetical fancy in the Rubaiyat. The poem is made up of quatrains, 4 lines, the first, second, and fourth rhyming, while the third is generally unrhymed, but occasionally all 4 are rhymed. The metre is unfixed, the third line in a different measure from the others as a rule, and nearly always so when rhymeless. A more noticeable peculiarity of the Rubaiyat, and the same applies to Persian poetry generally, is the intricacy of the rhyme scheme. One particularly prevalent form is what, according to John Payne, may be called the throwback, which is found in most of the authentic quatrains of the Rubaiyat. This consists in what is technically known as a redif, or re word, that is, of an invariable ending of from 1 to 7 syllables, not, in general, of the nature of a refrain or burden independent of the rest of the line, but forming the final and inseparable part of the 3 harmonious lines. Also the fourth, when rhymed, and following immediately upon the rhyme word, which it thus throws back toward, and in some cases even beyond, the middle of the line. To exemplify: Skinker, since ruin is of fortune planned for thee and me, this nether world is no abiding land for thee and me. Yet so the wine cup in the midst but stand for thee and me, rest then assured the very truth's in hand for thee and me. Payne's translation. In this quatrain the rhyme words are planned, land, stand, hand, and the re word is for thee and me. Another. Bethink thee that soulless and bare thou shalt go, the veil of God's mysteries to tear thou shalt go. Drink wine, for thou knowest not whence thou hast come. Live blithe, for thou knowest not whence thou shalt go. Payne's translation. It will be observed that the rhyme word in both examples is some distance from the end of the line. Oft times it is found near the beginning. Omar adopted 24 different quatrains in his Rubaiyat so various and beautiful that we cannot forbear giving other examples of his stanzas. Here is one with an interior rhyme. With a fair-faced maid and wine rose-red by the streamlet's brink, of ease and leisure I'll take my pleasure, nor pause to think. I was not I, but am today, and yet will be. I've drunk of yore, and drink evermore, and yet will drink. In this quatrain, the first, second, and fourth are rhyming lines. The contre petard, if an infidel, drunk with the Magian's wine I am, I am. If idolater, scoffer at things divine, I am, I am. Each sect and each sort hath a different opinion of me. Forsooth I'm my own, yea, and such as, in fine, I am, I am. Another of the same kind. They say that a tavern besetter I am, I am. That a toper and wanton abettor I am, I am. My outward I read thee but little consider, in sooth. Such at heart, no worse and no better, I am, I am. Payne's translation. Following is what is known as the ding-dong. Now the mead with the sound of the thousand tales singing is ringing. Take the wine the fair, tipsily to and fro swinging is bringing. Up the rosebud of gladness hath blossomed a while in the garden. Make merry, for life, whilst to sorrow thou'rt clinging, is winging. Still another is the echo. Liquid life in the chalice we troll is flowing, flowing. In the grape blood's incorporate soul is flowing, flowing. In the heart of the frozen water fluid fire is. Red ruby in crystal bowl is flowing, flowing. Payne's translation. Note also the double rhythm, a most peculiar verse suggestive of a verbal conjugation. I spake, thou spakest. Heart gave I thee, thou me disdain. I take, thou takest. Thou heart from me, I from thee pain. I am, thou art too. Thou merry, and I for thee sad. I make, thou makest. Thou wrong, and I patience in vain. Payne's translation. Regarding the subject matter of the Rubaiyat, Omar, in the warm blood of youth, shows himself a poet of revolt, scoffing and ridiculing the absurd customs and religious tenets of his country which he could not honestly hold as his own. The very embodiment of carpe diem obtains in the verse: Come, drink your fill and revel in the spring, cast off all sadness and with pleasure sing. We have but here a little while to stay, why should our lives be solemn on the way? Whitney. Later, for we must bear in mind that the quatrains were written at various periods and afterwards brought together, no verse depending upon its successor for its sense of meaning, a calmer and less combative strain prevails. There are steps backward, especially when the gloom of predestination surrounds him. Each is not made symmetrical and tall, but stand by contrast like the spring and fall. What of your neighbour that he looks awry, did he then falter with his hand or eye? Whitney. But the intellect grows augmentative, and the still small voice prompts the reply. Thou who didst place me in this world of sin, nor point the road I was to wander in, thou would not blame me with thy perfect light, though I should wander from the path of right. Whitney. And finally, when head yields to heart, there comes the broad Christianity of love for one's fellow man. If I could make anew the world again, and change the laws and government of men, No sickness would I have, nor any pain, but joy and gladness should for ever reign. Whitney. The Sufis, of whom Hafez was the mastermind, have endeavoured to class Omar as one of themselves, and that underlying all his words of voluptuousness and irreligion is a deep mystical meaning. Into this seeming error Monsieur Nicolas, at one time French consul to Resht, has fallen, and apparently strains many interpretations to strengthen his conclusions. But the thoughtful student of the Rubaiyat must eventually believe that his author meant the juice of the grape when he wrote wine, although he probably sang more of its pleasures than he tasted. Omar was a free thinker, and with only a finite mind he sought to fathom the great mystery of life and death, but the riddle was beyond his ken. At times he is almost petulant in his defeat, yet we cannot but think that he, like a more modern poet, when the day for speculation was over, came at last to faintly trust the larger hope. C.C.M. Junior. End of section 4. Section 5 of Rubaiyat Miscellany. The Rubaiyat. Wake, ere the sun shall scatter in their flight the stars grown pallid in his fiercer light. The darkness changes into day divine, and gilds the Sultan's turret with its shine. Before the darkness from the east had died, a voice was heard that from the tavern cried, "When in the temple all's prepared aright, why do you worship in the shades of night?" Loud crowed the cock upon the dawn of day, while many crowded to the entrance way, and shouted as they neared the outer door, "When once departed, we return no more." When the new year, reviving all the past, drops off its garments for a newer cast, white on the hills the snowy caps are seen, while in the valleys all the earth is green. Iram is sunk in fair Arabia's sand, and Jamshid's cup is now no more at hand. Still is there perfume in the ruby wine, and water nurses into life the vine. Mute are the lips of David, nor more repeat in purest Sanskrit that good wine is sweet, but cries the bulbul in his tones divine, "The drooping rose now pale should drink red wine." Come, drink your fill and revel in the spring, cast off all sadness and with pleasure sing. We have here but a little while to stay, why should our lives be solemn on the way? If Babylon or Naishapur be ours, what matters then the passing of the hours? Our life goes from us like the setting sun, all earthly joys are passing one by one. Each day brings that which was not here before, and takes away what shall be here no more. For every grief the snows of winter make, the gleam of spring 1,000 joys awake. Well, let them go, for we have naught to do with prince or monarch, be he false or true, though Zal and Rustum should both fret and fume, and Hatim call for food till day of doom. Here let us rest. There is in every state a line betwixt the lowly and the great. Here is nor slave nor master ever known, though Sultan Mahmud sits upon his throne. Give me a book of verses 'neath a tree, a loaf of bread, a jug of wine, and thee to sing my love songs in a willing ear. I need not wait, for paradise is here. One takes his pleasure as the days pass by, another hopes for happiness on high. Best seize the present with its joys at hand, we have no knowledge of a better land. The rose in blooming casts its fragrance round, for joy and gladness in its heart abound. But once 'tis plucked, it withers in a day, and other life will spring from its decay. Some are who husband for a future place, and those who throw it to the winds apace. 'Tis all the same, when you have passed to rest, you shall not answer to the world's behest. The things we hope for may not always be, for life bethinks a boat in open sea. A few short years we travel here and there, and then pass onward to we know not where. Within the world wherein we live today, millions have come and gone upon their way. The ruling monarch with his haughty tread must sleep like others in his narrow bed. In halls historic where kings ruled supreme, grates on the ear the owl's affrighted scream, the fountain dry, the court in silence deep, its tenants gone to their eternal sleep. Where lies the body of a slave or king, there, nourished by decay, new life will spring. The hyacinth and rose with perfumed breath both live and flourish by another's death. The very fringes of the streams that run their onward course and glisten in the sun, receive their verdure from some source unseen where rests, perhaps, some monarch or his queen. With wine we throw all past regrets away, and banish sorrow with each passing day. Tomorrow from today cannot be seen, nor do we know what things may lie between. The friends we've loved and cherished in the past received their image from a former cast. They knew their sorrows, and with joys were blessed, and like the setting sun have gone to rest. We who survive, of many cares bereft, enjoy our pleasures in the place they left. Then we pass onward to another place, and younger feet will enter on the race. Make merry with the world as best you may, ere you, like them, are called to pass away. All pleasure ceases with our loss of breath, and all is ended with the one word death. You who now worship in your place today, and those who shall for some tomorrow pray, the voice of Satan in the darkness cries, "Here is no hope, nor yet beyond the skies." Not all the wisdom of the good and great can prove beyond doubt a future state. They, like their works, are scattered far and wide, and saint and sinner now rest side by side. While yet a youth, the future all obscure, the veil cast down before a bolted door, I stretched weak hands the darkened way to clear, nor wisdom gained from any learned seer. Like to myself they in the world were cast, and knew no future as they knew no past. All life's a mystery, and we do not know from whence we came, or whither we shall go. Thrown on a world without our own consent, a homeless traveller on some mission bent, mid joys and sorrows we divide the day, till life be ended, and we pass away. We came without our asking, and we know that without asking we must surely go. All life and death are riddles at the best, unsolved by millions long since gone to rest. Above the earth I sought the loftiest place, and gazed about me in the realm of space, to clear the mysteries that our life attend, from our beginning to our common end. I sought to find what all had sought before, but found no entrance through the outer door. With thoughts conflicting do we pass the day, then unremembered do we go our way. There is no standard under man's control can give the measure of the human soul. The heavens above refuse to make more clear all that lies hidden from us mortals here. Then to my soul within this mortal woof I put the riddle, and implored the truth. Alas! the lamp of life shed forth no light to calm the doubting spectres of the night. Then to the earth did I appeal again, to learn the mystery of the lives of men. And for my answer I could hear it say, "Once past, you never will return this way." Perchance this speaker with a trembling voice the joys of love and wine had made rejoice. Ah, many kisses warm were his the while, and joy and pleasure lived within his smile. If you but stop a moment on the way, when passing o'er the road from day to day, perhaps a voice, long silent with the dead, will you admonish for your careless tread. This much is true, from time we know not when, that man has followed all his fellow men, from the first hour his Maker gave him birth, out from the dusty womb of Mother Earth. Each careless step, as on the earth we tread, falls on the face of some forgotten dead, who lived and flourished, mid his hopes and fears, when earth was younger by some million years. When you, in passing, see some favourite flower blush in the sweetness of the morning hour, devoutly ponder that when you have fled, some rose perhaps will rise from out your bed. When we shall clear all mystery away, and take our pleasure with each passing day, then shall we blend the human and divine, and drown all sorrow in the flowing wine. Today as yesterday to us shall be, all rivers reach the ever-changing sea, the chain is endless in all things that run, as nights that follow on the setting sun. When you have lived the destined time of man, and life has reached the limit of its span, shrink not from passing to that unknown shore, why should you wish to live and suffer more? If into space the soul can soar away, and leave this body to its sure decay, were it not better thus, our freedom there, than live in bondage in a world of care? Life's but a well from which all creatures drink, and then pass onward to that darker brink. The Sultan rises and then sinks to rest, and earth receives another for its guest. Why should we worry at our ending here? The future and the past are very near. The dust we tread on in our walks today was some poor mortal who has passed away. When we have gone beyond all hopes and fears, new lives will come through earth's remaining years, and then give place to others in their prime, to sink forgotten in the sands of time. An instant living in a world of joy, a freak of fortune, or a childish toy, a little pleasure not unmixed with doubt, and life is ended as it started out. Would you the secret of existence find, then study well the science of the mind. Live for today, tomorrow's book is sealed, no source or ending of our life's revealed. All life's a mystery, and all death the same, 'tis but returning by the road we came. Could life or death reveal to us its laws, then might we know, perhaps, the primal cause. Throughout creation runs a mystic vein, and being mystic it must so remain. Do what we will, all races come and go, and only He remains who made it so. Man comes from darkness to the light of day, he lives and loves and passes on his way, and that same one who gave his being birth again consigns him to his Mother Earth. The earth gives up no secrets of the dead, no spirit e'er returns that once has fled. We live within the limits of today, between the coming and the passed away. Since life's uncertain, do the best we can. Why should we quarrel with our fellow man? 'Tis better with good wine our blood to flow, than delve for things unsolved we cannot know. 'Tis waste of time to reason as we may about the future or the past away. Drink, then, the nectar of the grape divine, and drown all sorrow in the flowing wine. Man's life's a riddle that he cannot guess, both joy and sorrow doth his soul possess. Let others wrangle o'er the great design, I am versed in nothing save good sparkling wine. 'Tis said my reckoning will reduce the year by using only days that now are here. Tomorrow is unknown, whate'er we say, and no one can recall a yesterday. And as I stood within the tavern door, there came a being that had passed before, who on his shoulders bore a draught divine that cheers us on our way. 'Twas sparkling wine. 'Tis wine that levels to one common creed the sects wide scattered that dissension breed, an alchemist like those in days of old who turned base metal into finest gold. A mighty monarch that throughout the land dispels all fear and sorrow with his hand, allays all care and trouble in our mind, and leaves all darkness and all doubt behind. If the Creator made the grape to grow, and knew 'twas evil, would have made it so? Why should we murmur? 'Twas the will divine gave us the grape, and after it the wine. Affrighted by a phantom of that awful place, must I all pleasure from this life erase? In hope some paradise my soul may find, when all that's mortal shall be left behind? Our hopes and fears alternately arise, for ever turning to the vaulted skies. All nature's lessons we at once ignore, a thing once perished will revive no more. Of all departed to that future state, not one returns to tell us of his fate, to cheer or warn us with a voice of love, and point the way to happiness above. Wise men before us have their stories told of heaven's beauties and its streets of gold, but having passed through their allotted day, they give no sign that they have found the way. If we would analyze our thoughts aright, and view all nature in its proper light, of future torment we should have no fear. Our heaven or hell is as we make it here. Heaven's the pleasure of a deed well done, and hell the torture from the race we've run. Thrown on a world we did not care to know, we live like others, and like others go. The master hand that sets us on the way rings in the changes of each passing day. We act our part like others in the show, for ever shifting like the tides that flow. As potters form their vessels from the clay, and make new patterns with each passing day, so like the potter are the lives of men, for ever changing, but to change again. While we may seem our course in life to guide, continued tossing on life's changing tide, the one who placed in us the moving power knew what would happen from our natal hour. The course mapped out no earthly power can change, the piece once set we cannot rearrange. Once on the way the life that is to be goes ever onward like the restless sea. Call not on heaven for help in your distress, 'twas not intended that it should be less. All things that are, whatever they may be, have as fixed laws as govern you and me. From earth's first clay primeval man was made, he last shall be with harvest long delayed. So the first light that dawned upon the earth must end in darkness that first gave it birth. Each day brings forth the things that are to be, regardless of what man may wish or see. Drink then, thus drown your sorrows and your woe, you know not whence you came or where you go. This much is clear, when started on the way, our life moves forward with each passing day. Not all the stars or planets as they roll can change the plan predestined for the soul. Around my being there's a stream that runs as Jupiter is circled round with suns, and from its course what wonders may arise that lead along the road to paradise. Then know you this, when one receives the light whose mind has been like darkness of the night, the joy within him when from bonds released speaks stronger far than any mitred priest. Will he who formed and made us what we are, alike all pleasure from our life debar? Will he condemn to everlasting pain the thing conceived within his perfect brain? Forced on a world without our own consent, must we pay interest where no money's lent? Must we pay gold for baser metal given, nor question why this is the will of heaven? Thou who didst place me in this world of sin, nor point the road I was to wander in, thou wilt not blame me with thy perfect light, though I should wander from the path of right. Thou who didst form us from our mother earth, and to the snake in paradise gave birth, o'erlook the sin it was our lot to take, and grant forgiveness for our blind mistake. All days have ended where the night began, as Bairam follows upon Ramazan, and so within the world each stands alone to view the scenes some other lives have known. Surrounded by the things we see and hear, with many distant and with others near, some pass the time in talking through the day, while others listen and have naught to say. Where is the wisdom that would cause to make a thing of beauty for its hands to break? Where is the mother who the child gave birth would help consign it to the dust of earth? 'Tis not in nature that our hands destroy a thing of beauty, that which gives us joy, nor will the love that gave our being birth turn into hatred at some childish mirth. Each is not made symmetrical and tall, but stands by contrast like the spring and fall. What of your neighbour that he looks awry? Did he then falter with his hand or eye? Whereat some vessel that was once a priest, but now perhaps 1,000 years deceased, said, "Tell me with your wealth of lore displayed, which is the maker here and which the maid?" Another said, "There is a tale they tell of one who threatens with the pains of hell the thing made wrong by morals or by birth. Fear not, all goodness will receive its worth." Said one, "I stand upon the earth to-day, formed into being from some former clay, but give me of the wine I drank before, and I'll be merry as in days of yore." Loquacious with the theme of all on high, the fasting moon now passing from the sky, the fast of Ramazan at length was done, and Bairam's feast with cheering was begun. Give me good wine my ebbing life to cheer, and wash my body when no breath is here. Lay me beneath some ever-spreading shade, beside the path another's feet have made, that I may nourish in my mother earth the vine that cheered my being from its birth, and all believers as they pass this way shall each be strengthened from my slow decay. The things I've sought to cheer me on the road, and ease life's burden of its heavy load, would seem by priest and prophet out of place, and thus I've lost my standing in the race. 'Tis true, like thousands that have gone before, I've sought repentance and an open door, but should in after days new pleasure rise, I've lapsed to earth, forgetful of the skies. Yet oft I've wondered as I drank the wine, that robbed me of my right to life divine, if those who mark it, if the truth be told, received in value half the joys they sold. 'Tis said that youth will vanish like the spring, and age come creeping like an ugly thing, that birds of beauty and of plumage rare will pass and vanish to we know not where. Oh, that some spirit from the great beyond would to our queries and our thoughts respond, and lift the veil that mortals here might see that other world, if other world there be. Or some good angel in that brighter land proclaim the record as the figures stand, then we poor mortals could at once decide to place our balance on the credit side. If I could make anew the world again, and change the laws and government of men, no sickness would I have, nor any pain, but joy and gladness should for ever reign. Yon silver moon that shines upon its way will shine on others in a future day, and look in vain for one it saw before, now past the portals to be seen no more. And you, O reader, when my life has fled, and you shall visit at my lowly bed, drink of the wine that cheered me from my birth, and then pass onward to renew your mirth. Tamam. End of Section 5. Section 6 of a Rubaiyat Miscellany. 50 Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. Paraphrased from literal translations by Richard Le Gallienne. The Philosopher Press, at the sign of the Green Pine Tree, Warsaw, Wisconsin. 200 copies printed for private circulation only for James Carlton Young and his friends, of which this is number 180. Signed, Richard Le Gallienne. O tattered robe and face with loving pale, pass me not by. I am the nightingale that dares to sing of riot and the rose, and, brother, I would give thee hand and hail. But sinner, there's one thing I want to hear. Oh, tell me, is your sinning quite sincere? You would not leave it even though you could. Say that you would not, O my brother dear. Remember, all the pious who cry shame with holy horror on your tattered fame, watch only for the opportunity of turned backs and the dark to do the same. Let us at least who think the rose is best not paltry lie about it like the rest, but lift our glasses frankly in the sun, and take our love as frankly to our breast. This is the creed of Omar. I believe in wine and roses, also I believe in woman. What a foolish thing to do! And in the God that made them I believe. Oh, dearer than the soul that gives me breath, dearer than life, as the old proverb saith, nay, that is but a sorry compliment, for thou, my love, art dearer even than death. My days are filled with wonder and with wine. Wine helps the wonder, wonder helps the wine. But in the night my bosom fills with tears, 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 for one who never can be mine. Even sad eyes must sparkle in the sun, but when the miracle of day is done, down in a bankrupt darkness deep I lie, haunted by all I lost, and might have won. Yet was there aught to win that is not mine? I ask not money, only to buy wine. Women forsake me not for all my sins. What better winnings, pious friend, are thine? I am not fit for hell, I am too small. For heaven I am too heretical. I love both places, yet not one enough. Twixt the two stools I fall, and fall, and fall. God gave me eyesight, shall I rob my eyes? He gave me smell, instead of merchandise, members and senses delicate to feed. Who bids me starve them God himself denies. Yea, none shall tell that I have turned away, ungrateful, when some woman bid me stay. The golden invitation of a friend I answered ever with a thankful Yea. Think not that I have never tried your way to heaven, you who pray and fast and pray. Once I denied myself both love and wine, yea, wine and love, for a whole summer day. I cannot help it. Were it in my power, I would forsake my sins this very hour, forswear the rose and bid the vine good-bye, kiss my last kiss, if it were in my power. O good old friends, what is it I have said? It was the wine which got into my head. Forgive me, oh forgive, I meant it not. I shall forsake you only when I'm dead. And even then, who knows, we'll meet again, nor the celestial wine-cup cease to drain, and in some laughter-loving heaven on high, our little women to our bosoms strain. When to this lute of life I come anear, hoping to snatch some little worldly gear, I find the fools have carted off the best, and naught is left for me but hope and fear. If thou wilt keep my head well filled with wine, I care not if the whole round world be thine. O fading kingdoms and forgotten kings, I know a better kingdom. Drink red wine. Within the tavern each man is a king. Wine is the slave that brings him anything. O friend, be wise in time and join our band. Drink and forget and laugh, and dance and sing. I wonder why I go on living still This life of pain and poison, why I still trust friends, hope good, still fight and still have faith in this world's business, still think of it, still. I gave my heart, and life returns me naught. My mind, my soul I gave, for what? For naught. All dreams and loves and hopes I freely gave, nothing is left to give, I give it naught. You say, there are so many crowns to win, yet you lie sunken in your sleepy sin. Bring me a crown of gold and big enough, and I will wear it. All these are of tin. Whether you would abide or go away, wine will befriend you, friend, for if you stay, you'll forget going, and if you must go, he'll drown you in the very sweetest way. Some that would leave this world take dreadful means, one wrenching poisons, one steel, another leans his brow on sudden fire, but wine is best. Poets have died so, and many kings and queens. Wine is the tender friend of suicides. You drown so softly in its gentle tides. You know not you are dying, yet you die, and love with rose leaves all the ruin hides. Would you forget a woman? Drink red wine. Would you remember her? Then drink red wine. Is your heart breaking just to see her face? Gaze deep within this mirror of red wine. Face like a glass wherein all heaven lies, a firmament reflected in two eyes. Thanks to your heaven, I am deep in hell, the shadow of your laughter is my sighs. My cheeks like hollow cups are filled with tears, my body is a haunted house of fears, my heart is like a wine jar filled with blood. O God, those sightless eyes, those small deaf ears. A sheikh once took a harlot in her shame, calling the poor soul many an ugly name. 'Tis true, she wept, all I appear I am, but sheikh, of thee would I could say the same. Oh, speak not evil of these dancing flowers, these girls that arrogantly we call ours, yours, mine, and anyone's who bids and buys. O God, the pity of the fate of flowers. Girl, have you any thought what your eyes mean? You must have stolen them from some dead queen. O little empty laughing soul that sings and dances, tell me what do your eyes mean? And all this body of ivory and myrrh, O guard it with some little love and care. Know your own wonder, worship it with me, see how I fall before it deep in prayer. How sad to be a woman, not to know aught of the glory of this breast of snow, all unconcerned to comb this mighty hair, to be a woman and yet never know. Were I a woman, I would all day long sing my own beauty in some holy song, bend low before it, hushed and half afraid, and say, I am a woman all day long. O love, I come to worship in your shrine. There is no part of you is not divine. There is no part of you not human too. There is no part of you that is not mine. Except that heart of precious stone, cold heart no man shall ever call his own, nor fire warm, nor might of loving wind, heart great and cold, enough to dwell alone. Though my estate be poor, my raiment torn, I am not really sorry I was born, for God has given me my heart's desire, wine and the well-beloved and the morn. Sad pilgrim of the heart, the way is long, suppose we lighten it for you with a song. Here in the tavern rest your wandering feet, strong is your love, but wine is just as strong. We know the love that drives you to and fro, like hungry dogs that through the city go, the hollow hunger of the breaking heart, and the one cure for it, alike we know. Saki, bring roses for this sad one's hair, and set a bowl of rubies for him there. And you, O moon, dance, dance, and dance, and dance, that the poor fellow may not think of her. Life is too short, dear brother, to be sad. If you must needs be anything, be glad. Leave bitter books and read the book of joy. I know that some declare the book is bad. To all of us the thought of heaven is dear. Why not be sure of it and make it here? No doubt there is a heaven yonder too, but 'tis so far away, and you are near. A book, a woman, and a flask of wine, the three make heaven for me. It may be thine is some sour place of singing, cold and bare, but then I never said thy heaven was mine. Love, the fair day is drawing to its close. The stars are rising, and a soft wind blows. The gates of heaven are opening in a dream. The nightingale sings to the sleeping rose. Shadows and dew and silence and the stars. I wonder, love, what is behind those bars of twinkling silver? Is there aught behind? Venus and Jupiter, Sirius and Mars, Aldebaran and the soft Pleiades, Orion ploughing the ethereal seas. Which are the stars, my love, and which your eyes? And oh, the nightingale in yonder trees. Heart of my heart, in such an hour as this, the cup of life brims all too full of bliss. See, it runs over in these happy tears. How strange you seem, how solemn is your kiss. Love, if I should die before you died, would you be really sorry that I died? And would you weep a whole week on my tomb, then be a little happy that I died? And would you see some face that looked like mine, and love it, love, because it looked like mine, and say, "How strangely like Khayyám you are," and kiss the face so wondrously like mine? When would you bring him softly where the rose showers its petals upon my repose, and shed 2 tears together on my tomb? Strange are the ways of grief. Who knows? Who knows? Here end the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam of Naishapur, newly done into English verse by Richard Le Gallienne, made into this book by Helen Bruno van Vechten, at the Philosopher Press, which is in Warsaw, Wisconsin, at the sign of the Green Pine Tree, finished the 2nd day of March, 1901. Made for Mr. James Carlton Young, Minneapolis, Minnesota. End of section 6. End of a Rubaiyat Miscellany. Recording by Algy.